can I add one thing here?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very important piece that, and John, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts because you might not agree with me here, and that's fine. It's your show. Do what you want. But, you know,
I'll disagree with you on your show too. Don't worry.
There's no borders to John's disagreements.
Here's my thing, right? I fully believe in secular progressive ideals. Many of them, I'm all on board. You do not defeat Christian nationalism with secularism. You can't do it. It's never going to happen, because you have to understand, when you're indoctrinated in that worldview, everyone but your own is the enemy. Joe Biden wants to persecute you. The government wants to persecute you. You are one day away. By the way, I have a fact check for this. Literally heard a pastor say this at a Turning Point USA Pastor Summit. So I'm not just bullshitting this. And TJ, you're going to know the sentiment. They believe that we are one day away from the Democratic president, in this case, Joe Biden, kicking down your door, taking your guns, taking your Bibles, and throwing you in prison for being a Christian. So in my opinion, the way that you respond to Christian nationalism is with better religion, not less religion. Doesn't mean that we have to convert people to Christianity. Isn't the point. What I'm saying is you need Christians like myself and other progressives who understand the world, who still believe in some kind of Christian paradigm, to actually fight that fire. That's the water that you need. You don't do it with more secularism, which, I mean, you can try, but it only makes things not nearly as helpful. You need people who say, no, we get it. I understand how the world works. I'm also a Christian. We can combat this with a better religious idea, or a better Christian or biblical interpretation than whatever the fuck this Christian nationalism is offering. So, you know, I think long term, we need to start building, and this is honestly, John, why I had you on the show. We have to build a broader coalition of both the secular progressive and the secular left, and the Christian left and Christian progressives working together, right? To say, no, we share the same values, even if we have different beliefs on some of these theological claims. But you need those Christians who grew up like how TJ and I did to help you understand better the culture and language and how we actually combat such a horrible, dehumanizing message.
So I don't say this very often, Tim, but I don't have a hard opinion on this one. It is very much an opinion that I am learning and formulating, because on one side of me, I do think that religion in general is harmful to the human experience. And that's not faith. I think faith is good, but I think organized religion far more often than not is harmful. And one of the reasons for that is that it inherently, most of them teach a hierarchical view of morality, where you get your morality from God or gods or whatever, and then your pastor talks to God and he tells you what's right and wrong. And that, in my opinion, prevents more egalitarian mindsets from forming. However, as you're also saying, it's incredibly effective at organizing people. And if you are, say, a Leninist, you could replace the concept of a God with a class consciousness and get people to militantly support a working class ownership of the means of production. And that can be successful. I don't really know what the right answer is. And with many things, I feel like it's in the middle somewhere. But this is a question. I know TJ has mentioned this a couple times, where, like, as much as we on the left generally don't necessarily like religion, the right has definitely captured the church. And the church is a very meaningful part in a lot of people's lives that creates this social network of community that, even if it isn't coming from a philosophical perspective, is still very important to getting messages out. So I kind of wonder, in the work that you do, or if you have done anything like this, I don't even know, but like, in what ways have you found that you're able to use religion, and the church might not be the right way to phrase it, but how have you been able to use this to communicate with people all of these egalitarian ideals? And I know Jesus should be an easy way to do that, but apparently it's quite difficult.
Well, a couple of just big picture thoughts on this. I think that, and at this point, I have plenty of friends who are not religious anymore, and like this is not about a what's better or what's worse in terms of like religious supremacy or not. But I mean, there have been studies by secularists done that a healthy view of God and religion does benefit people's mental health, well-being overall compared to not. I mean, again, it depends on what view of God you have. If your view of God is someone who is tyrannical and thinks that you're a piece of shit, your mental health goes down. But if your view of God is like that friend who loves you and affirms you, your mental health studies actually tend to go up. And I can give you studies on this. Again, I'm not saying that therefore everyone has to believe in God, but I want to point out that the term religion is so broad. I don't want to discount the religion of MLK that drove him to do his work, or the religion of so many people who come before us in the abolitionist movement that drove the work that they did to advocate for the liberation of the Black community, right? The Black church and the work that it's done and continues to do is really important, especially in inner cities, et cetera. And so I'm with you in terms of the way I kind of think about it now, because I'm always kind of navigating like this both and perspective is, I think in my context of Christianity and the Bible, what I tell people is the Christian tradition can be used as a tool of liberation or a weapon of oppression, right? We know this. They made a slaveholder Bible, right? There were people saying, no, God, I mean, Bob Jones, God demands that the races stay segregated. I'm a Christian. And then you have MLK. No, God demands equality and justice. I'm a Christian. So two very different expressions of what is claiming to be under the same roof. So my take is that, I think that first off, pragmatically, you're never going to get rid of religion in our lifetime. It's always going to be here. It's super established. You're never going to be able to just, Thanos snap it out of existence. It is here. And to be clear, a lot of religious groups do a lot of good work on the ground in a very broken system. Admittedly, I don't think charity is the end goal solution for healthcare and for poverty at all. But there are a lot of groups on the ground doing a lot of that work inside of a system that is really fucked up. And I think that's good. So with that all being said, I don't exactly have the super easy answer, except for saying that I think we need more and more Christians to be loud and bold in their opposition to Christian nationalism for the sake of all of their neighbors. And I think what that means is building coalitions beyond what they're usually comfortable building. Being able to say, yeah, like me, for example, Andrew Seidel, he helps run Americans United. He's a good friend of mine. He's an atheist. We talk all the time. He's been on the show multiple times. We share so many of the same values. I love that dude. We have a coalition built. Me and Qassam Rashid, he's a human rights lawyer who's also Muslim, on the show many times. We text all the time. Very different faith traditions, but we have common ground around the values. So I think we have to kind of build a new people's movement of what are the values that we can agree on while respecting how we all have gotten there, right? Values of humanization, not dehumanization. Values of love, justice, inclusivity, affordable healthcare for all, etc. Right? Abolishing the prison industrial complex. We can all get there through our different beliefs and share the same value.
All right. I want to address all of that, but I want to this comment real quick says the kitty is beautiful, TJ. Yes, this is Wolfie. He always pops up during the show. So he's like,
love that.
He's our unofficial mascot. So, all right. A lot to cover there with what you guys talked about. I hope I can keep up for everything. But all right. I want to start with what you mentioned, Tim, about how it's impossible or it's it'd be effective if the left wouldn't try to eschew religion, to try to just push it away and say, hey, secular humanism is the way to go, and to try to abandon it. I've come to a similar conclusion, begrudgingly, but I have come to this conclusion as well, because like it's a lot like you mentioned that religion I get why religion works. I get it. I understand. Like John mentioned with the coalition building, even having something that bonds your community together, like where are people going to have weddings and funerals and stuff like that? Like those little community events that are hard to just organically bring together, that have any purpose and meaning outside of, just black and white paperwork. And that does work on people. I'm not religious. I don't believe in gods or anything like that, but I see why it is effective. And if we do want to you know, push forward our agenda. We have to just come to the cold hard reality. The majority of people, left or right, are going to be religious. And if I go around all day saying, you stupid fucking morons, don't you realize this is all a fairy tale? Now, I might believe that, but saying it to folks is not going to make them come on my side. It's not going to make them work with me. And as long as their goals align with mine, let's go. Let's rock and roll. And, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, no, nothing. I'm listening.
So we know who also came to this conclusion was a guy named Maximilien Robespierre. And for those of you who are not familiar with this guy, he was kind of the head honcho during the French Revolution. And Robespierre, he had the same thought that, you know, about the Catholic Church is full of problems and issues, a myriad of them, and we need to get rid of them. All right, step one. But we need something to replace it. We can't just have nothing here. And he actually came up with something. It was called the cult of the supreme being. And I love that it was called cult. I love that. Just makes me laugh. That's just like, man, they're signing up, just telling you right up front that it's a cult. And it was essentially like this this deistic thing where this like Paul with the unknown God, and say there's just some unknown God out there at work. He had this huge statue he built for it. He had these ceremonies and parties. Everyone laughed him out of town. They thought it was absurd. That was ridiculous. So not only do you have to recognize people have faith, but, you know, working with their particular faith, because you're not going to force people out of their religion. You cannot do it. It's integral to who they are. Yeah. And so you have to move on from there. And the people you named there, Tim, I wrote some down. Joel Webbon. Guys, if you don't know who Joel Webbon is, just do a Google or YouTube search for Joel Webbon. Write anything about women. I've seen him do like half a dozen screeds about how the 19th Amendment needs to be abolished.
Oh, yeah. But and just to be clear, by the way, that's not, people listening might go, that's so fringe. A guy at Turning Point USA at America Fest last year said the same thing in front of 14,000 people to a round of applause. And I know that because I go to America Fest every year. And I'm going next week. So,
how do you do this to yourself?
People think.
Oh, no. Yeah, I have a whole video on my YouTube channel, Power's Taken Not Given. You guys want to check it out sometime. I have a whole video showing clips of this. It shows Ann Coulter.
Oh, yeah.
It has Jesse Waters, Jason Whitlock.
Yes, Whitlock is the one who says it.
What's it? Lauren Witzke. You guys know who Lauren Witzke is. She's holy shit. Lauren Witzke is in Delaware. She was the Republican nominee for the Senate in Delaware in 2020. She is a Nazi. I'm not even like, it's not being hyperbolic. She genuinely is a Nazi.
She's the female version of Nick Fuentes. I mean,
literally. Yes. Yeah. And the Republicans nominated her for the Senate. Of course they did. But she has a whole thing. Their whole thing is that women shouldn't vote. And if a women didn't vote, we'd never have a Democratic president, which is true. And that the man is the one who should represent the family. Greg Locke is another one. Greg Locke is another insane one. Sean Foyt and everything.
Oh, yeah. Sean Foyt.
Charlie Kirk spoke at Maranatha Baptist University, which is the college I graduated from. He spoke there like last year or something like that. So like these people are deeply intertwined in this movement. They are not going anywhere. And like John and I talk about this all the time, how it is unfortunate that the right has subsumed the concepts of patriotism, 100%. Of the American flag, of church, as much as it's true. Like we can go out there dressed in all black, like ninjas and everything with Antifa. That's not going to win people over. That's going to freak them out. Wearing the stupid Captain America shirt and stuff, that's going to get folks on your side. They love that stuff. No one wants to hate the country they grew up in. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I am very much a pragmatist. You know, I'm all about how do we get the job done, right? Yes. And so for me, I'm just like, I just don't care what we have to do, but I'm with you. Like I tell people often in my story, I didn't change my views by being called a bigoted asshole online. It never worked. It never worked. I did not change my views from, you know, being gay is sinful to, well, what was I thinking? Because someone online was like, you're a bigoted asshole. It was my first ever friend I met at Starbucks at 18 who was gay, named Joey, who showed me that actually gay people are human beings too. That was the first seed, right? And so I want to be clear too. I think that there is a both and. On a systemic level, on a political level, we absolutely resist these things, right? We absolutely fight like hell to do all we can to change the system. On a relational level, you don't change people by just screaming, even just raw data at them. It's not how the human mind works.
Yeah.
You do it by building relationships, by earning trust, etc. And that's not everyone's job. People have different jobs and different things to do. But the more we can make our message attractive and make it honest. Like, hey, we actually care about all of our neighbors, even our Trump voting ones, to get affordable healthcare. We don't want anyone in medical debt. Those messages, I think, resonate much more with people than those stupid, idiot, anti-intellectual Trumpers, even if
they are
for some people.
It's
it
true.
could be.
Yeah.
It definitely could be. It for sure. But to also be clear, you know, there, and I will tell you, going to the, and this, you guys are not Democrats. I know that you're leftists, and that's a very different thing. I will tell you that going to the DNC for the first time in my life, the National Convention, I did for the first time get like I can understand the caricature of the Democratic elitists who kind of snubs their nose at, you know, at rural America. I totally get that. And that's, I think, John, we talked about this on my show. We need a working class populist movement of like, no, for the blue collar worker, for the person in the trades, right? For the person who has no union options because of how the system is rigged in the billionaire's favor. You need a movement that says we absolutely see you. And whether we like it or not, on a pragmatic level, even though it's not true, Trump gave those people the perception that he sees them. Now he doesn't. He doesn't give a shit about them. He cares about Elon Musk and, you know, making billionaires more and more rich, obviously. But the messaging backed by a right-wing media empire gave those people the perception that they actually care about those people. And we have to acknowledge that, whether we like it or not.
All right, guys, thank you. You made it to the end of this episode where we were probably either talking about religion or killing people. And if you want to hear more talk about religion and maybe a little bit about killing people, I don't know, Tim, where can people find your show?
Well, yeah, they can find us anywhere that the New Evangelicals can be found, on podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, wherever. So at the New Evangelicals.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tim. Folks, thank you so much for watching the show. We only covered 2 topics, so whatever you watch today is going to be on 1 or 2 things. We learned that 1, Christian nationalism is bad, and 2, health insurance does not cover lead allergies. So good to see you guys. We'll catch you next time. Enjoy your week. Catch you guys later. All right, good.